Good morning, Miss Kathy.
Good morning. Wait, it's almost, but it's still morning. Y'all seem like a very lively group. So I'm not gonna have to do much, right? I'm gonna ask the questions, you're gonna supply the answers. I love this. I gotta give my little spiel. I just got over bronchitis. I'm gonna cough. It's allergies. I'm not contagious. I already took all the medicine.
Thank you for saying
I've heard that before.
I know, no, really, I am so sterile, it's ridiculous. But I am gonna stand back anyway, because it's not nice to talk to people. Okay, I want to tell you a little bit about me being a master gardener for 17 years. Master gardeners is first, why did y'all become a master gardener? Why do you want to become a master gardener? What interest? Huh?
To aggravate Mac.
Oh, okay, and Mac, why do you want to be a master gardener? To aggravate him?
No, man, that's the only reason I show up at class on time. Is to accrue as much knowledge about gardening as I can and pass it on to those that don't know.
Oh, what a sucker.
Oh, dude, I love you.
That's not why I'm here. I don't know much, so I'm here to learn more.
Okay, awesome. Anybody have any different answer?
Learn how to do it in Texas style.
Amen, amen, amen.
That's a good one.
I want to teach my kids and their friends so they know how
Yes, yes, yes.
Work with nature.
Work with nature, yes.
Increase output.
Increase output. In Texas.
In Texas.
Meet new friends with like-minded.
Yeah. Yes,
Two suckers for you.
ma'am. Oh my gosh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm from Hawaii, of course, like everybody knows it. But my daughter and my son-in-law, we live in New Brunswick. They have 2 acres of land. Ooh. Yeah, and they grow fruits and vegetables, and I want to learn how to be part of that. And
Other than eating them.
what? Oh,
Other than eating
every day. We gained 23 pounds, so you can tell.
That's marvelous, that's
But
marvelous.
it's wonderful. Yeah.
That's awesome.
My grandmother and my mother were master gardeners, but not with title. They just knew everything about plants. And my grandmother passed away, and my mom, she doesn't remember much about it. So over the past 5 years, I've dedicated myself to learn everything about plants to carry on the tradition.
That's marvelous. That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, y'all are fabulous. Let me share with you why I became a master gardener. Because I didn't have to dress up. Okay? I got new hats. I got shade hats. My family and friends give me gardening tools and gloves for Christmas. That's why I became a master gardener. Actually, I was a city girl. I didn't know nothing about nothing. Moved out here to Shirts initially, my husband and I joined a garden club with the HOA. Nothing from nothing, city girl, Chicago city girl. Chicago, woo! So they were talking about all these things, these words I did not understand. I had dirt, I had pots, and I had one shovel. So after being with the group for, I guess, about 3 months, somebody mentioned the Master Gardener program. I said, oh good heavens, I need that so bad. So I joined. I was in grad school at the time, so I had more time. And everything went well. I graduated, went on to my elevated profession. I still was trying to get those hours in. I was still getting the hours in, and then it was coming in December and I didn't have my hours in. As the years went on, I became more and more busy. So I scarfed and got them in, and then I started Slather Park. I said, okay, that one I can do on my own whenever I want to. If I clear that out, I can go do that, and then I can get my hours, and everybody can come and help me and do this with me. So it was fabulous until they changed city employees.
Oh.
Right.
Oh my goodness, I thought I was a nice person. They blew me away. Well, no, I know we said we were going to do this, but we're not going to do this anymore. I know we said you could do this, but we don't want you to do this anymore. It was horrendous, and I was not very good at it. But I was still getting some hours in, so I was fine. So then I retired. And I said, okay, good, I can go and do all these things again. I can be in the gardens, I can do the splash show, I can do all these things I love. Then my youngest decided to have another baby. Oh, Mom, can you please take care of the baby? So, long story short, now I just got the baby 2 days a week and I can do what I want to with the Master Gardens. The reason for that story is because you're going to have times in your life when you're going to be busy. You're going to have times in your life where you look at those volunteer hours and you're going to be intimidated. I beg you not to be. We are all volunteers. Nobody is marking off the list saying, oh, you didn't give the extra 5 minutes. You just say, all right.
You don't know Paul Carter.
He's not here though. It's not fun if he's not here. Now that is true. You do have to meet your hours. But what I'm saying is there are many, many opportunities. And if you were to call any of us and say, I need to get some hours, I will take you to get hours. There are many, many opportunities to get hours. Hey, I want to read this article. Hey, I want to go to this talk. Dave Rodriguez does talks all over San Antonio on a Saturday for an hour. Go grab it. It's fun. You're out there in a nursery. Who doesn't love that? I love that. So there's lots of ways to get it. You can do it. If you get caught, don't walk away. Call one of us who have a little more experience. Let us help you grab those hours. Okay, so that was the reason for my story.
You ain't a city girl anymore.
I ain't a city girl no more.
You're a country girl now.
Oh, okay, see, now I gotta tell another story.
Are you in Cibolo still?
I'm in, well, yeah, I went from Church to Cibolo, next to 10 minutes.
Right.
Yes, and I went from a large lot, a city lot, a corner lot, to a very small lot as my husband and I got older. Oh, see, now I got 2 stories I have to share real quick. So when I went into the smaller lot, I am a native enthusiast. I'm not going to hit you if you don't have natives, and I'm not going to snub you if you want a bougainvillea. But I am a native enthusiast. If I can put a native and it can accomplish what I want, I will use a native. I believe in natives, but I will also do other things. Bottom line is, I needed to take advantage. I needed to get the most bang for my bucks in the small lot that I had. So that's what I did. For those of you who have big lots, who have big areas, your 2 acres, oh my goodness, I've got some ideas for you that I can't do, so please do them and then send me pictures. Lots of things you can do with natives. When I was first a Master Gardener 17 years ago, I would meet fellow Master Gardeners at botanical gardens, at the zoo, at the nurseries where we all shop, on hikes. Now, we're a little bit older and I meet Master Gardeners with my physical therapist. I said, oh my God, we have changed, we have gotten older. Okay, so native plants. This is just a brief outline. What are they? Why choose them? How to start? Specific plants and resources. What plants you choose to plant for today is not as important as knowing that it's a native and what it needs. I'm going to go through some plants, but I'm not going to go through slides and slides of plants. I can help you choose the plants that you want if you want to text me or call me. But we're going to go through some of the ones that I can tell you a whole bunch about that I think are beneficial to newbies starting with natives. But there are so many, and there's so many excellent resources. I didn't do that right.
Pointed at
The thing?
the thing.
Is that where it did? Okay, what is a native plant? What is a native plant? If you are a purist, a native plant purist, if it didn't start here, it is not native here. But look at what's in common with all these experts. Unaltered by humans, growing naturally without direct or indirect human intervention, evolved naturally. That is a native plant. Spider lily is one of my favorite plants. It's beautiful, the foliage is gorgeous, I love it. It is not a native plant, but there's not another one that I can find that can do just what I want. It is an adaptive plant.
Can we, like I just love the spider lily. I used to have some up north. Can we grow those here?
Oh yeah,
Do okay?
yeah.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah, no, they do fabulously.
I figured.
I'm gonna have 10 or 12 that I'm taking to the plant sale this week.
Oh, beautiful.
That Frank told me about where to take them, so I'm happy.
You're going to the Poly Mansion?
I'm not going to the Poly Mansion at
But your
this
plants
point,
will be there.
but my plants will be there. Now that I know where to go. Thank you. Okay, adapted plants. Pink skullcap, one of my faves again. Bees love pink skullcap. I love pink skullcap. They require absolutely no care. As a matter of fact, they like to be ignored. It is not a native, it is an adapted plant. It is one that we have said, yes, it's like the Texas superstars. It's a plant that we have decided does well here. Pink skullcap it does excellent in rock gardens, full sun, not very much water. Bees adore it.
I thought it was that good.
Where do you find those at?
Oh, you can find them in any nursery at all. They're so common. It goes about this tall up. It has a mounding habit, and if happy, it will propagate itself. Okay, an invasive species. You can go to invasives.org. I encourage you, I implore you to please do that. Make sure you do not plant an invasive plant. If you go to Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center, they have a plant database that are natives. If you go to if you just Google the plant, you will find under the information, is or is not likely to be an invasive plant. Pay attention. Invasive plants take the resources from our native plants. Extremely important that you not plant an invasive plant.
Do you have an example of something you might see, like at the nursery, at wherever that people are planting, that you may not know is invasive, that's common?
A bastard cabbage.
Oh, like people buy it?
People buy it. It looks very similar to another yellow wildflower, but it's not. It is an invasive.
Kudzu.
Yeah, kudzu, exactly.
But the bastard cabbage, is it growing, will it grow wild in the fields?
Oh, yeah, it does. And what happens is the rosette that forms in the fall and the spring is large and leafy. It prevents the sun from getting to our wildflowers. And our wildflowers don't bloom.
Yeah.
Why plant native? It matters. Plants are the sole organisms on Earth that transfer energy from the sun's light to produce food and fiber for other forms of life. That is awesome. That is wonderful. What forms of life do you want? I want Texas life. I want what started here. Okay, native plants have naturally evolved. Naturally evolved. As we have gotten hotter, as we have gotten drier, what did our plants do? They evolved to adapt. Exactly. They've co-evolved. Let me give you some examples. It doesn't like me.
He just played with it a while ago, so you might have messed
They
it
didn't
up.
like anybody.
It's not personal, huh? Okay. All right, let me give you some examples. The yucca moth is one of the oldest moths in the world. It pollinates the yucca plant. Yucca plant gives the moth some place to breed and have a place to feed their eggs, for their eggs to feed. That moth feeds birds and bats. We all are familiar with the fact that bats are declining, and we can't have them decline because of the effect they have on our crops. All right. Okay, cactus to a cactus wren. Wren nests in the cactus. The cactus protects their young. It is a state bird of Arizona, not of Texas, but still. It gets water from the plants. It doesn't need any water. It eats grasshoppers, ants, and beetles. These two live together, symbiotic relationship, necessary for both species to continue, as well as for other species, birds, bats, to continue. Okay, they're drought tolerant, evolved. They have evolved to our climate. So they're gonna cost you less water. There's a lot of folks, now we're coming in, we're in our 4th year of a drought, bad, 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 bad. So we have to be careful what we plant now and what our expectations are. Are your expectations that your lawn may not look as pretty as it has looked in the past? Do we have as many bluebonnets as we did? Are the wildflowers coming up? Some of them are coming up super early because of the temperatures. Others we're just not seeing yet. Our native plants are reacting to what the environment is doing. That's okay. You have to kind of make a decision when you go native to not try to encourage them to do something that's not appropriate for what's going on in the world. And we'll talk about fertilizers and other things. Natives provide habitat and food for birds, bees, butterflies, wildlife, obviously. Less pest control. Really, really important. I am just going to put it out there. I'm an organic gardener. I've been an organic gardener for 12 years. I have taken 2 spaces and turned them into organic gardens where no chemical is used. And it takes 3 to 4 years for it to accomplish. So you start out, no dragonflies, no lizards, lots of mosquitoes, lots of turf grass. And then you gradually see return of the lizards, return of the dragonflies. Dragonflies eat mosquitoes. I want them dragonflies. So you start to see the return of a stable ecosystem. Prevents erosion. In order for our plants to survive, the majority of them have to do what with their roots? Go really deep to get some water, right? They stay up at the surface, they're gonna die. So they have to go pretty deep. Those deep roots help to prevent erosion. Less maintenance. My goodness, natives I think are super, super easy. My perennials, I trim them in the early spring, maybe February, because I leave them go ugly so that all the birds and the bees have a place to go. And that'll keep warm and that'll keep them safe. So my HOA has stopped fighting with me about it, and I trim them. Then I trim them and I trim them again. I'm done. They're going to grow and they're going to be beautiful and they're going to get what water God gives them, and then when it gets really bad, like now, I already started once a week because the drought is bad. And I'm not getting any in Cibolo. Okay, conservation of our ecosystem, and then variety. We have so many choices. All right. How to get started. This is really important. You need to identify what you want to accomplish. What do you want from your area? Do you want to grow fruit trees? Do you want to grow vegetables? Do you want a pretty yard that's less maintenance? Do you want to see natives? Do you want to sit on your back porch like I do every morning and drink my coffee and see the hummingbirds and see the wrens, see the butterflies, see the little lizard things? Geckos. Try to attract other things. Do you want to do that? Is that important to you? That was important to my husband and myself, so that's what we decided to do. But you have to know, you have to have an idea of where you want to go.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Butterfly pollinator garden. If I want to be a pollinator, is it possible to, I know bees are good, but if we're kind of allergic, is it possible to have butterflies and dragonflies and not so many bees? Or is that not possible?
You know, I tried putting signs up and said butterflies only, and it didn't work.
There's happenings that
Your high bee attractors, you put them away from you. Okay, and I'll give you an example. Dwarf Barbados cherry. It is an awesome shrub. It is fabulous. Puts on these sweet little flowers. It's not really evergreen. If we get a freeze, it drops its leaves. But if we don't get a freeze, it doesn't, so it's whatever the weather's doing. And then there's turns of berries, and the birds eat the berries. Awesome little bush. I had them in front of my house, 4 of them, and then I had a 5th one on this side because I love them so much, and it's just really, really pretty. When they got bigger, the bees got so bad that my granddaughter says, "Man, I can't go to your front door because there's too many bees." They're tiny pollinator bees that aren't going to sting you unless you grab them. They're solitary bees, and we're going to talk about in pollinators how to become aware of colonized versus solitary. I took those trees out. I had 2 of them on the right side that do not interfere with my door. So you have to plant smart for the high bee pollinators. Skullcap, bees love it. It's out at my, what do they call it, the desk strip? That by your street, that's where my pink skullcap are. My milkweed, my blue mist, the columbine, which is not really, my Turk's cap, they are all in my butterfly garden. Because the bees will visit it, but you know what? They like the Barbados cherry and the skullcap better. If you plant something that they really, really, really like all the time, they'll go there first. And we'll talk about this in the next lecture, but pollinators like mass color. So one plant ain't gonna get it. You're gonna do a few of them, and they see it and they go. Okay, butterfly or pollinator garden, is that what you want? Is that what you want to do? Or do you want to do, I want to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. That's okay too, but make the plan. Have you ever told yourself or been told, don't go to the grocery store when you're hungry? Yeah. Don't go to the nursery when you don't have a plan. Are you laughing from experience? Yes. I am too. When I was working 60 hours a week and I barely had time to garden, that didn't mean that my love of gardening went away. It just meant I didn't have any time to plan. I spent hundreds, probably thousands of dollars on plants that weren't going to survive because I didn't research it. And that was okay for that time in my life. Now it would be stupid for me to do that. So plan. Go to the nursery when you have a plan on what you're going to get. And then make sure you read the label. One of my goals, I have goals for myself every year for gardening. One of my goals is to learn how to use those Latin words. I am terrible about it, but I take it with me, written down. To the nursery. If I don't see the appropriate scientific name, I ain't buying it. And you gotta be that firm. Nurseries, they're not mean, they're not ugly, they're not out to get us, but they're like the rest of us. They gotta earn a living. And so if somebody more experienced than them say, oh yeah, that's the native, that's it, and it's actually a tropical milkweed, which is not a native, that's what they're gonna sell it as, Texas native. Okay, increase property value. If your yard looks good, you increase your property value. You decrease HOA knocking on your door or leaving you nasty letters. So it increases property value if it looks good. What looks good is what survives here. Okay, so now where? Really, really important as we're in this horrible drought. Where are you going to plant? Do you have a set garden? Are you going to take out some grass, some turf, and then plant a garden? Do you already have a garden? And where is it? What is the proximity between the water and the garden? Be smart. If your pollinator garden that needs water when you're first establishing the plants, and occasionally if we're in a bad drought, doesn't have water and you're going to have to lug 50-gallon thing of water, you're not going to do it. So don't put it there. Don't do that, or do what I did, spend the extra money to have some drip irrigation put out there. Make your choice, but make it one that you're going to do, because you'll get discouraged. And then you'll end up putting whatever goes in there that's not native because, well, maybe it'll last and I only spent $3 for it anyway, so who cares? So be smart when you make the plan. I really do go out and do the feet. If I'm helping somebody else with their yard, I measure it by feet. And then we sit down and we plant. Now, most of the time, for an inexperienced person, what the information, okay, what plants do you want? I want a yellow one. Okay, and over here, what do you want? Well, I want a green one there. That's okay. It's a start place. It's a place to start. So go to Lady Bird Johnson on their database, and you say, green plant. Do I want it to come back every year, or do I just want to have it 1 year? Annual, perennial. Okay, I want a perennial. Put it in the database. It's worth it. Know what you want. Type of soil. Goodness. Bless you. Bless you. Type of soil. You got to get in there. The only way to, you go take some tests and send it off. You can do that. Just get in there and dig. Get in there and dig and find out what you got. Do you have dry? Do you have clay? Do you have, what else choices do we have? Rock, sand. See, Sandy, yes, limestone. Is that what you have? Know what you got. And then what are you gonna do from there? Roots, new roots, whether it be a native or not native or an adapted, because we're not gonna do anything other than adapted or native, right? So they like to be able to expand. And if there's a lot of rock, there's a lot of clay, there's a lot of things that they can't get through, they're less likely, or it's gonna take them longer to get established. Work the area, put some natural compost in it. I have a compost pile. I don't touch it. I add stuff to it. I add water to it. Every spring, I get a bunch of compost out of the bottom. It's not hard, it's not as complicated as some people make it. Just start it. It'll be so worth it. That's what you put in your holes as you start your plants. Find out what kind of dirt you got. What are you working with? Do you need to amend it? Amending for me, I'm going to be real honest, I'm not the expert at it. Amending to me is you dig it. I have some compost, small amount of compost because I don't want to burn the roots. Small amount of compost and some garden soil. I mix it all together and I put it back in. That to me is amending soil, and for me it works, but it depends on where you're at. Okay, sun exposure. When I had trouble getting hours and I needed to do it on my schedule, one of the things that they allowed me to do is to do broad education. A neighbor says, what do I plant here? I called, can I use this as hours? If I actually make a plan, give it to them with all the appropriate names, do the education, can I use it for hours? They said yes. So that's what I started doing. So I did some out in Garden Ridge with all those oak trees. Whoa, that was a mess. And then I did some a little bit locally. Every single time, so I've done 5 of them so far, and 2 of them I switched from horrible chemicals to organic lawns, and they're all yards, and they're all really happy. But anyways, I would start out, okay, how much sun does this area get? Oh, God's the sun. Okay, so I would go by that. I would say, was it getting at least 6 hours of sun? Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. By the 3rd time I learned, they don't know what they're talking about. They leave in the morning and they see sun. They haven't a clue. So finally, the last person I did, I said, you have to do a time. You've got to go out there every hour, starting at 7 a.m., end at 5 p.m., and you mark down how much sun that area gets. So that worked a whole lot better. But you've got to be aware. There's a lot of things that you can buy on Amazon now that is sun calculators. I bought 2, and I meant to use them before I got to this class, and I didn't make it, I'm sorry. But I'll put it out in the email or something if it does work. My best way is you go out every hour, and you measure the sun. I planted carrots. I put it in a trough on one side of my yard. I got tired of doing vegetables because the mockingbirds, the possums, they were just terrible. So I did a raceway, and this was last fall. I said, oh great, I'm gonna do some carrots and some garlic. I didn't follow my own rule. I didn't measure fall sun. I got carrots this size. Literally this size. It's like a micronutrient. So I said, well, there you go, learn a lesson. Water, again, the same thing about the water. Make sure you're not trying to lug the water around. You're not going to do it. HOA regulations. How many of you are under an HOA? How many of you are oppressed by an HOA?
Yard Nazis.
Yard Nazis, indeed.
Yard Nazis, I like that.
Yeah, that's so true. They want everything to be uniform. They want everybody to look the same, and they want it all to be green. No mountains. What I have learned in working with HOAs is, one, as the board changes, their requirements change. Their actual requirements are how many inches can you go before you have to cut it, how much overhang can you have, how many yard signs. So you have to look at your yeah, and then figure out what it is that they need.
Yeah.
If you're deviating from that, do an exception. Don't be upset, just say, no, I'm arguing it and this is why. And they'll just leave you alone. I can't think of any case where that didn't work. Not one single case. No, that's not true, it's a lie. Garden Ridge. They wanted green underneath this huge canopy of oaks.
Hostas.
It's really, yeah, hostas. I'm a native. I'm a native person. I said, I can't help you, but I'll argue with it for you. I'll argue them for you. Okay, eco reason to understand what your temperature gauges are. Understand what you need. What is your coldest? What is your hottest? What happens if you put a hosta in the middle of the sun? They're gonna die. So know what temperatures you can do. All right, how to get started. We've talked about it, have a plan. The essential information, how much sun, how much water, how are you gonna get the water there? The hardiness zones, and annual versus perennial. It always surprises me how newbies don't pay attention to that either. And they're waiting for the annual to come back and they cut it off before it went to seed. It doesn't work that way. Know your definition of annual, perennial, and make sure that you read the label. If it doesn't tell you what it is, don't buy it. Or look it up. No, because then I wouldn't even trust the name. Okay, when to plant. For native plants, fall is the best time to plant. What I like to tell folks is that plants do one thing well at a time. They do lots, but one thing at a time. Plant in fall, they're going to put down roots. Come spring, summer, or next fall, they're ready to put on a show. So plant them in the fall. What else do you avoid in the fall most of the time?
Full sun.
Full sun, 100-degree weather, continuously. Our native plants, when that happens, they tend to go dormant. They're not dying, and giving them more water in the horrible continuous heat won't help. Water isn't the problem, it's the continuous heat. A girlfriend of mine who is not even an enthusiast, she's a native expert. She puts umbrellas over hers. Yeah, it does work. I mean, she did protect her plants. I'm not that invested.
So is that to say, like, you know, like Native Plant Society and everything else is advertising, hey, we have our such and such at HUB, the native plants, so is it best to say to wait till the fall if you're buying plants, or is that seed, like, I guess?
That's a really, really good question, and I appreciate you asking that. That is a really good question, because being a Native Plant Society person, I started that plant in the fall. Now I'm trying to sell it to you in the spring, and that sucks. But
so that being said, though, like, what is it that sucks about it? Like you know it's better to plant it in the fall, or?
What happens if you plant it now, when the temperatures are rising, it will be okay. You're going to need to go out and check it every single day for water.
Okay.
There's two things that happen during this time of planting. You're either going to overwater it and it's going to get mildew, or it's going to get spider mites, or the aphids are going to say, ah, that's for me. You have to be careful. The moisture and the humidity right now can be as harmful as the heat. So you have to go out and check the water. 2 fingers in your soil. You will learn after a couple of days what your soil is doing. I would say actually about 2 weeks. So you just have to check your plant more frequently, that's all. You can plant it now and it will do fine. It may not perform very well this year, but it'll perform fine next year.
Okay.
Okay, so it depends on the plant. Be careful of the humidity and don't overwater.
Okay, so
And
next.
try to avoid crowded areas.
So next silly question maybe, I have like mulch that I put literally just did the last couple days. Like, you need to get down to the soil and
Yes,
test it,
yes.
not the mulch.
Nope.
Okay.
You move that mulch, you stick your fingers in, and you find out around the root of the plant, what is that moisture level? What does it look like? What does it feel like?
Okay.
If it sticks together, you got some moisture. If your fingers come up wet, ooh, don't water. Also, for a Texas native, what I would recommend is you push that mulch away until the roots have established.
Okay.
Okay? If you're planting, and I have definitely planted in July. Sometimes I kick myself for it, but I have done that, in which case I do mulch. And I do go out there and look a lot more, and sometimes I'm watering twice a day. And then I kick myself for doing it.
Usually what I do is I'll just keep it in the pot in a nice, protected place so it's not like terrible. And then when fall, I can come around that and put it in the ground.
Yes.
But you gotta hang on to them for several
Yes.
months and keep them watered. It's not ideal, but.
I do the same thing, yes. If you're going like Lady Bird Johnson plant sale, I just missed it because I had bronchitis last week. So I didn't get to do the propagation class with y'all, unfortunately, because that's a really fun class. But what I would do with those is I would put them aside. Because I get them what I want, I know who grew them, and they're cheap. So you can definitely do that, you just have to pay attention to it. A friend of mine who is really going native, and this is a 3-year process for her, because like so many of us, she was working very hard, and so she didn't have the time to devote to doing these things. So she, for the first time, was successful in buying the plant in the summer, and then she saved it to the fall, and they're doing wonderfully. So it's worth it if you can, but if you can't, just take a little more care.
Okay.
And mostly be careful that you're not overwatering or that you're not getting them a very humid area.
Okay.
I pull the mulch back.
Well, like, just from, like, from around the plant, okay.
Just from around the plant, yes, exactly, thank you. Yeah, just from around the plant. When I'm planting natives during this time, I avoid putting too many together. I'll put them, it tells you what the growth span is of the plant. When you're planting your yard, you gotta look at that. I like English gardens. My plants rub right up against each other, but not when I planted it, because the moisture, the humidity can destroy the plant. So what am I planting? I want to plant some bee balm this year. That's one of my goals. I tried it in 2 different places and it didn't work well. No matter what the Lady Bird Johnson told me, so I got to try it someplace else. I'm going to plant it this week, knowing that I'm going to have to pay attention to it and make sure it's doing okay, because I didn't choose until right now where I was going to try it. The same way with gay feather, I'm going to try that. But both of those are fall later bloomers.
Right.
So they're going to be busy putting down roots anyway. So I'm not quite as worried about that. They weren't going to put on a show anyway right now.
You know, this is April, right? And in most places don't even have their gardens in the
not,
ground.
yeah.
So it's April. That's why, we should be realizing it's April and not June or whatever.
Blows your mind. I know.
That's why you said plant in July. I do that. I'll plant my second run of tomatoes and my second run of corn.
Yes, for fall production.
Yeah.
Yes. If you're going to do that in Texas, that's the only thing you can do, is to go ahead, and then I put tarp over mine. I put shade cloth, right, and then row in the winter. For vegetables.
Yes.
For perennials, because I'm invested a little more in the perennial. The annuals, my vegetables, if they don't make it, again, I gotta go buy lettuce, or I have to go buy the tomato. I'm okay with that, I'm cool with that. But a perennial that I've hopefully invested a little more money because I got a slightly larger plant, I had a little more invested in that. Plus, it was my plant in my garden. So that's just my perspective. You are right, but in Texas, this is your work month.
Yeah.
March, April, May, those are your work months.
For your yard and your garden.
Yeah, it's just the way it is in Texas. Because come June, July, and August, you don't want to be out there, and the plants don't want water.
Real quick, another elementary question.
Yes.
You keep talking, different people keep mentioning, you bring it in the house. You bring your plant in the house if it's getting cold. You're growing things in your house, and bugs start to come. I'm freaking out. I got bugs. I'm doing this routine, and I've got all these little sprouts and these little bugs, and how do you get rid of these bugs? What do you do to keep bugs at bay in your house when you're growing
You
things?
have to sterilize your dirt. And to sterilize your dirt, that means you don't have any beneficial nematodes in your dirt, and your plant will die. You cannot get rid of them except to get your fly catcher.
I have one of those now plugged into little flying, I have vinegar. I have a container with the vinegar. I'm just like getting roasted. It's like in my house. Bugs can be outside.
You may have
You can try cinnamon.
Cinnamon?
Yeah.
Cinnamon.
Okay, thank you. Class 8 and
Try. I've done growth in my house. I've done milkweeds. I've done, as they call orchid ICU is what they used to call. I'm not a fan of orchids. It's not a native. I don't care. But my friends all like them. So they say, can you fix it? Can you fix it? Can you fix it? So I ended up with all these daggone gnats. Nothing I've tried has worked. So I just use the fly traps. And then tell my husband stay away, because he hates them.
The mosquito bit dunk things work too.
Oh, there you go.
Mosquito bites.
Mosquito bites. The mosquito dunks, they come in the little disc, you can curl them or you can just get a bag. And you just come with, what do you call it? They're mosquito bites, not mosquito.
They're dunks, yeah. You can find them on Amazon.
Has anybody tried the Irish Spring soap?
I've heard about it, but I haven't tried that. I have not tried.
Fresh as a country lane,
Okay, you brownie bunch, let's get back on topic. Okay. How to plant a native. We talked about that briefly. You did. You can ask, don't add fertilizer. Organic planter here. I don't use fertilizer when I plant a new plant. I am asking a lot of that plant. I am asking that plant to get out of its safe little pot and go into an area that it doesn't know. Unless I know who took care of it, it could be coming from inside to outside. I am not going to ask it to upkeep or to keep up or to collect some fertilizer. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to make that hole as loose as possible without having any air, because you want the water to be able to reach the soil and then reach the roots. That's how you plant a native. They don't ask for too much more. Keep a record. Keep a record. Learn from my mistakes. This is my Bible. I've had this since, I took notes, 2009. Wow. Because of this, I know that I tried hollyhocks, which my husband loves, 3 times, and I failed. I'm not trying them again. But my husband says, hey, are you gonna try hollyhocks? Oh yeah, sure, I think I tried them once. I don't remember. Yeah, I do know, I'm not doing it again. I don't like the way they look after they bloom. I'm gonna take them down, so I'm not gonna do it again. The only way I know this is because I kept a record. I've tried, what did I try? Learned what veggies failed, where I don't have enough sun. Why my carrots weren't working. First they weren't working because the soil was too compacted. The second time they worked because they didn't have enough sun. The third time I hope I get it, but I won't make the same mistakes again. This is well worth it. My first 10 years of gardening, I didn't. And this is extremely valuable. It only has to make sense to you. I'll leave it if you all want to look at this, but it may not make any sense to you. But I have goals every year that I put down in January, February. What do I want to gain? What do I want to learn? What do I want to do? It's worth it. But I'm a list keeper too. Okay, we already talked about that. All right. We talked about what you need to do to plan your yard. Now, I never said that I did perfect, right? Never said that. I have learned a lot by making mistakes. What is it? Somebody said, and I don't remember who, but I loved it. The only difference between an experienced gardener and an inexperienced gardener is if I made 20 million more mistakes than you did. And that is the truth. Blue days. Sun. Shade. I planted it in the shade first. Didn't work.
How do you guys have so much shade?
You're right.
Oak trees.
I've got oak trees, they're in the pasture.
Oh. I don't got that much room. I don't got that much anything. Okay, this is frog fruit.
I love it.
Have y'all heard about frog fruit?
Oh, yeah.
Is it not the latest and greatest in the world? It is the sweetest little flower you'd ever want to see. The bees, the little bitty pollinator bees, adore it. We talked about invasive. Not enough. Let's talk about invasive a minute more. Invasives take away resources from other plants that would normally grow there. Frog fruit was not intended to be in my front bed, but I wanted it, so I did it. And it took over not just my bed, but my neighbor's bed. In this situation, the frog fruit's invasive. So I pulled it up and put it in the back, in a slightly more shady area. This is full 100% sun. And I put it in the back in a more shady area. The growth is controlled. I have fewer blooms, that's sad, but I still have plenty of the bees are back there. So invasive can be used in other contexts as well.
But it did transplant pretty well.
It transplanted like the easiest thing in the world, and I was worried about it because I really didn't know enough about it. It's one of those plants that was on my list, in my record, you know, the one I keep. It was on my list of what to get for like 3 years, and I could never find it. And then it became all popular with the Native Plant Societies, and I got it, no problem finding it anymore. So I didn't have enough experience with it. My buddies didn't have enough experience with it. They said, no, tell us what you do. And it worked great. Transplanted super easy.
How long does it bloom, the little flowers? How often?
All summer.
All summer until October?
Do they smell?
No, no, not to me, it did to the bees.
Right. I have it naturally, just popping up in various places.
Nice. Do you have some shade control?
Not where it's growing now, but in one area it did have shade. And it's kind of weird because it grew really good one year, and then in that spot the next year it wasn't. You know what I mean? So
Something changed,
something
yeah.
changed. I don't know what.
I have a ton of it out in my pasture. Do you think I could dig it up and propagate it somewhere else? I've never tried.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
I've just always left it out in the pasture because I love it.
Or dig it up and offer it to friends.
Yeah.
Because it's This area, these two plots, mine's on this side, my neighbor's on this side. The good Lord blessed me with a fabulous neighbor who loves gardening. She came from another state, so she had a lot to learn. But, so she was not upset, but we both compost these beds. So this has been a bed that's established for 10 years. So frog fruit said, I'm in heaven. And otherwise, if like in my back, it doesn't take over anything, but I put it in a small rock area that I don't put compost on. I don't do anything to that area. And so the growth was more controlled.
Did you take this out of your front?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. For days. Because it puts down runners. Yeah. For days.
Could you grow that in a container, all right? Like a,
I didn't even try. I don't do container gardening very much. With the Texas heat, I don't like to be out watering a pot very much.
well, I don't either, but I have like real small area. So, you know, I use these
So the
grow
container.
bags,
Oh
15.
yeah, no, I used to do that for my vegetables. The mockingbird still got it. I don't know how it would do, but the root system
try
is the root system is extremely shallow, so it probably do well.
I'll try it.
It was easy to pull up. It really wasn't
Pretty
hard. Oh, the bees just love it. Okay, milkweed. What do we know about milkweed?
Monarchs.
Monarchs. Are all milkweeds created equal? They are not. Now, this is a huge controversy in the native plant realm. Let me tell you what we know scientifically, and then I'll tell you what I know from experience. Oh, I'm not going to do this. This is one of my goals, but I'm not going to do it right. Asclepias curavi. Yeah, I'm really bad at this. Whoever said that, thank you. Thank you. There you go. Tropical milkweed. This one. This is not a native. Never has been a native, never will be a native. As a matter of fact, the monarchs didn't even know about this until we put it in their migration trail. Negative about this one, it's not a native. So is it taking resources from our other milkweeds? Probably so. I don't know. We really want the monarchs to come. What it does do is it carries a protozoa. Because this one does not go dormant like our native does, it will continue to carry a protozoa, which is deadly to the caterpillars of the monarchs and the queens.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I mean, you seriously have to consider whether you want this plant or not. One way,
It does what?
it carries a protozoa, an organism that when the caterpillars eat it, it kills them.
So
That is a scientific fact.
It doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
No, because
What people are planning it for.
it doesn't. What the general public sees is a bunch of caterpillars on it. But they didn't put a sign saying, sorry, it could be poisonous. The caterpillars don't know that, and they eat it. Because it is not naturalized, not adapted, not our plant, the caterpillars have no defense against it. Now, opposite, which is our native milkweed that looks very similar to this one, it goes dormant. That is nature's way of preventing that protozoa from continuing on the plant. Now, some people who still want to continue the tropical milkweed say, October, cut them down. This is one hardy plant. So even if you cut it down to 3 inches from the ground, it's going to come back next year. But at least that way you're not encouraging the growth of the protozoa. So the choice is yours. This plant here puts on tufts of seeds and they blow everywhere, and your neighbors will have them. In a way, I want to say, oh, isn't that awesome? Because I'm almost going to get them, but I know they're not going to cut it down in October. And oh my gosh, you know. So there's what we know. I had tropical milkweed. I had one plant. I did not choose it. My husband chose it, and I try not to discourage him too much. But when it put out, bless his heart, he's so fabulous. But when it put out all these seeds and my neighbors, oh, look what I got, and they got excited. I got very disappointed. So I pulled out the sucker and pulled theirs out too. So you have to make your choice, but those are the facts. My favorite milkweeds, and it took me 5 years to grow it successfully. Antelope corn is a native in the true sense of the word. It's been around forever. It is what the monarchs, their caterpillars, eat. It is fabulous. It does not like to be touched by humans. It doesn't like to grow in our gardens. It likes to grow at the side of the road. And that's how you really have to treat it. Lady Bird Johnson came out with this bag, milkweed, and exactly put it in the refrigerator, then put it in the freezer, then pray over it, and then put it in the garden. I tried all that. I tried that, and I tried it with a class. It didn't work. I bought one from Lady Bird Johnson. I bought 2 from Lady Bird Johnson, stuck them in the worst place in my yard, and said, heaven help me. And it's doing great. It comes back every year. I love it. Monarchs love it. Green milkweed, easy milkweed to grow. Very simple. Again, leave it alone. But this green milkweed is actually successful in my very cultivated front garden. And it's very happy, and it has propagated itself. And the monarchs, they strip it twice a year. They totally strip it. Let's see if I can do this without. Yeah. Okay, purple coneflower. This is a really, I think it's a lovely native. I had a very hard time growing this. I tried it for 5 years in different places. I know that because I have a record. I tried it at Slather Park. I tried it in my home, and I couldn't find any place where it would do well. They just died. I don't have a deer problem. We have deer, but they don't come far enough up for my area, so for my house, so I'm good. And I was at the end. I was saying, I'm done with this darn plant. It's just not going to work, no matter if I love it or not. Planted it underneath one of my smaller oak trees, and it just propagates itself. I had 2 plants, and now it's just full. So it's a great part shade, really part shade, no joke. That's underneath a tree. Underneath my oak tree, it gets morning sun, and that's about all it gets. Anything else is filtered. But it's a really pretty plant. The birds love the seeds, and they're really enjoyable. Native bees, they like them. It says can become aggressive. That's the scientific response. I've never seen it. I wish. Okay, natives attract wildlife. Love this dude. The birds, I have a lot of birds because I have a lot of seeds. And this was in the fall. Unfortunately, a lot of birds mean other predators. And that little sucker was watching the finches. But he's still pretty. Okay, the most fabulous fall blooming native plant is the shrubby boneset. It's called a white mist flower. It can grow 5 feet wide, about 5 feet tall, or you can just cut it down like you would a salvia. It attracts absolutely every pollinator in Texas. Because in the fall, when everything else is not blooming, that shrubby boneset is full of white flowers. A nice little aroma, it's fabulous. I put it next to my lantana.
What did you call it?
It's a shrubby boneset, B-O-N-E-S-E-T.
Okay, I thought you had another.
White mist flower.
White mist flower. But look for the appropriate, the Argentina havenosis, look for that. You will be shocked at all the things they call a white mist flower, and it ain't that one. And I can tell you because I've bought 3 of them before I got the right one.
It blooms into fall.
It blooms in the fall. And then I cut it severely in December, December, January timeframe. And it comes back, it starts the greenery, it's one of the first plants that starts greenery, so it's already greening up now. And then by fall, it is literally full of white flowers. And I don't know how to do a good video to show here, but moths, butterflies, birds, hummingbirds, everything was on it. It was amazing. It's amazing every year. Which is the first time I was like,
So that's a butterfly garden.
Yes. It's not a butterfly garden. It's a butterfly plant that I have in my backyard. But it is not in my official butterfly garden.
But it attracts all those.
All the pollinators, yeah. One of my goals, it was actually a goal last year that I'm doing a little better at, is I need to increase my fall bloomers. It sounds funny, doesn't it? Not bloomers. Spring, I'm full. Summer, I'm full. But in the fall, I tend to lose blooms because I didn't plant enough plants that bloom in the fall. So that's when I did this one. It's the same way I want to do with gay feather. I need to do that one. Okay, do I have Dominita? Yeah, Dominita. This is the best plant ever. For a full sun, very little water, it has, you can't appreciate, the brightest yellow. It likes to be ignored, really likes to be ignored. The bees love it. And no matter where you put it in full sun, and not a bunch of water, it's this huge splash of yellow. It's just gorgeous. It doesn't have a nice, I like citrus, so it has a very citrusy smell. It's not a huge popular plant because people don't like to leave it alone, and that's what it likes. But if you start it, you get it in the right sunny place, you will love it because that splash of color you can see from miles away.
Is that a note that I had one of those, and then that big windstorm came through and knocked it over? It's laying on its side and it's still sending up blooms straight up.
That's awesome.
I don't think I can kill it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. It's well worth it. I really enjoy that plant.
So how do you pronounce that?
Dominita, D-A-M-I-N, oh, the other word?
Yeah, the other one.
Dominita. I said it was a goal, but it's only April.
Yeah.
So, catch me next year. Let's see if I got any better. Okay, golden columbine, perennial, semi-evergreen, bloom spring to summer, shade. I love it. I love columbine. I love the gold. I love the red. To me, it's a very romantic flower. Pollinators, not so much, but it's a very beautiful flower in the spring. And I have it in a partial shade area in the back, and it does very well up until July, June, July. It does well. In the front yard, I had a bottle tree bush tree.
Good.
Again, husband choice. Gosh, I love that tree. With Snowmageddon, I lost it. And unfortunately, I had columbine all underneath it. And this is the third or fourth year since then. And so now I only have one columbine left. It just can't take the sun.
Is this the only one that grows here? I'm from Colorado and that's our state. Does the regular columbine grow here?
I'm Texan. That is the regular one. I don't know what one you have. I honestly cannot tell you because I've never tried.
So this would probably, well, Colorado's cold.
I will tell you.
I think the gold is a native to Texas.
The gold is native, yes. The gold is native to Texas. Who is it? It's either Millburgers or Rainbow Gardens, I think has that one. So you can check with them. I did try one because it's really a beautiful flower. And I tried it with my other columbines, it never came back. But that could have been me, not the plant.
What's your book say?
That's right.
I did it, that's a really good comment, I didn't write it down. I didn't have any, I wasn't that interested. I said, oh, it's too bad I didn't come back. But I should have, then I wouldn't try again. Okay, so this is my spring garden. My HOA is okay with this because I asked in advance, can I grow bluebonnets? They don't know no different. They said, sure. You know what that looks like at the end of spring? Really bad. But everybody still comes by and grabs the seeds, so they say it's okay.
So when you get your letter from the HOA,
I've only gotten it once, and I went back to them with the letter that said, you told me I could grow bluebonnets. Not my fault you didn't know what that meant.
I like your garden, little flowers around that box. To try to make it look nice. I like that.
Don't you hate that box?
Yes,
I hate that box.
My wife, we've got one of those in our backyard. My wife camouflaged it with spray paint.
Oh, that's awesome.
It looks awesome. You don't even, it just fits right in with all the.
That's an awesome idea.
Just camouflage it.
What'd you say?
My wife camouflaged that transformer. We've got one of those boxes in the backyard. Yeah, spray paint like tan, green, brown, just fill branches up and leaves up. And
Now, my son has in his backyard one of the round ones that's about this tall, and he painted it like a pogo stick. Or not a pogo stick, a totem pole.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or one of those
Oh, that pogo stick's different.
Well,
It just went. It just.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about
Oh, yeah, we're talking.
Did I end it back where it's supposed to be?
goldenrod. All right.
Okay, so we have a forward and then we have a backward.
All right. Thank you.
So, antenna. Getting a quick preview here. More to come. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so now I'm gonna go forward.
Thank you.
And like I said, you have to go back one, that little one there, but then I'll do.
Otherwise, just that one. I don't know why it went so fast. Okay. All right. Remember when she was talking about Turk's Cap? Remember when the Texas Stars, Superstars were talking about Turk's Cap? This is Turk's Cap in the back. It is a fabulous plant. It does grow tall. It has lots of greenery. I love it. Snakes like it. This area here in my as long as it doesn't rattle or is poisonous, I'm an advocate of snakes. This area right here is dense. I have the Turk's Cap there. I have sunflowers that I didn't plant, the birds planted them. And then I have my Barbados cherries over here. It's a very dense area. So when I sit on my front porch and I look down, I can saw snakes copulating. So that's nasty. But they're happy there, and I'm okay with that because shirts and Cibolo are mice and rat infested, and those suckers eat them. So I am okay with that.
You all know that used to all be farmland.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yep. So the other one is the blue mist. Greg's blue mist is a fabulous nectar plant. Greg's blue mist. Now, you can put that one in a pot because this one can really spread a whole bunch. You need one plant, and by next year you'll have a whole area full of it. It is a huge, popular nectar plant.
Wow.
Queens, monarchs, everybody loves that. Bees, everybody loves that. I let mine kind of go unrestrained. If it gets too much over into my milkweed, I just cut it out. It's not a problem to pull it up.
What'd you call it?
It's Greg's Blue Mist.
Greg's.
Greg's. Greg's Blue Mist.
Have cuttings of that pretty soon, if anybody wants them.
There you go. Yeah.
I had a plant this big last year. It's a 5-foot area, so I need to cut that thing down.
Just bring some in. Just, dig it up and bring it in for them. That's awesome. It's Coniseum Gregi. I'm bad at this, I'm sorry. All right, now, let's see if I can do this right. Okay, and there it is. Sun, but can tolerate some shade. The more sun, the more it spreads.
So if you don't want it to spread, you say keep it in a pot.
Yeah, just talk to it. No, I'm kidding. You can keep it into a pot, but what I do, you know that those iron or the plastic, they're called edging things? I put that so that the roots can't go over here so easily. And that way it kind of stays in, but I give it a large area. I give it about a 5 foot.
It's 5 feet.
Yeah, and there you go. And that keeps it where I need it to go. But if it does move over, I just go pull it out. But in the spring, you don't want to pull all of it out because the runners are the roots and they're underneath and you can't see them. So you cut it.
So you cut it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's very easy to control in my opinion, in my sunny area. In a shady area, it might not be quite so easy. You'll have to maybe be a little more delicate and not pull it so much. I'm very brutal with it, but the plants love it. And I trim it several times during the year so that I always get new blooms. The kids in the neighborhood, the parents bring the kids to my yard to see the butterflies. And they get in the bluebonnets and they take pictures. It's like, I have a little bitty lot, but I'm so glad that they're able to utilize that. That makes me very, very happy as a master gardener. The only time that it bothered me is I had to go out there and tell them, get rid of the butterfly catchers. The dad bought them with nets. I said, you don't know, it's okay. Okay, flame acanthus, favorite plant, one of my most favorite plants. Hummingbirds love this plant. Full sun, little water, can get 5 feet by 5 feet, or you can keep it small. It is easy to keep contained, but it's also easy to let it go. I will always have a flame acanthus. The hummers love it. Okay, native grasses. This is one thing I really should get better about. I have native grasses. I have the Lindheimer's muley in the front. I have some senna in the front. I have some Gulf muley. The butterflies and the other creatures, pollinators, love the native grasses. If you want to fill a space, this is in front of my pergola, you want to fill a space that you don't have to give a lot of time to, I put Lindheimer's muley, I put a rosemary on this side, a bat-faced cupia, and then the flame acanthus. I never have to touch that area. The cupia didn't come back. But look into your grasses. Pay it, if you're interested, they're awesome. Okay, this is the dwarf Barbados cherry. These are the little flowers. Huge, huge bee attractor. Don't put it by your front yard. And this is out in front of my house. It's awesome coverage.
Don't put it in your front yard. You said, oh, I have it in my front.
Yeah, I put it over, because I had it over here where you had to walk through it to get to the front door, and I took those out. Now this is just over towards the front side. And nobody's bothered. Believe me, my granddaughter would tell me if it was bothering her. Purple passion vine, it's awesome. Larval host to the Gulf frutillary and banded hair streak. It is an excellent educational vine. It goes crazy. Don't put it someplace where you think where you want it to behave, because it ain't gonna. It goes crazy. Most of these Texas vines do. They go absolutely bonkers. You have to keep a certain length on these vines in order for them to bloom, but you need to have a larger area. I have that fence. I don't do anything else with it. Beautiful blooms, and the butterflies are fabulous. And I get to show all the grandkids and the neighbors' kids the whole transition. Here's the butterfly, here's the caterpillar, here's the chrysalis, and here's the butterfly, and that's fabulous. They don't care about humans too much. They're not worried.
That's good.
So I have a question. So they have some varieties of red passion vine, and it said it fed Gulf frutillary at Rainbow. And then I did a Google after I bought it, and it said like certain red varieties can be poisonous or whatever to butterflies. One would hope that if they wrote the placard like that, it would, but I'm going to guess I have to go return some plants today. Do you know anything about these red varieties they have now?
It has to say Passiflora incarnata for you to have the native passion flower.
Okay.
Well, she was wondering about the red
more
ones.
like a butterfly killer is what my question is, which is probably not your presentation. But
No, it's okay. I can't tell you. It's just like with the tropical,
I
right?
need to know the scientific, or go into the scientific name.
Yes, if you look at the scientific name and then Google that, And then it can tell you whether or not it's poisonous to the caterpillars, which is probably where it's killing them, is at the caterpillar stage.
It would be, I guess that's a lot of things, because like they can have it
Yes.
written on their thing, and it can be what you think is the reputable nursery that has that specially written on there, but I guess it could be wrong when you do more research, so we'll see.
Say it again, sister. That is exactly correct. You have to go by the scientific name. I have some nurseries at the end that I know carry native plants. I also know that they do have some reputable folks who know what they're talking about. But the best thing you can do is to get your sources and look them up. And when you go to the nursery, go armed. Yes, ma'am?
Do you guys do well with cuttings? Can you?
I can't imagine that they wouldn't, because they are prolific growers. So I cannot imagine that they would not do very well with propagating by stem.
Will those fruit? No.
Huh?
Will those get like fruit? Yeah, they should.
They do, but it's not the passion fruit that you eat. Yeah, no. Yeah, they do put on very pretty fruit, very pretty seed, but no, it's not the edible one. I wish. That'd be awesome.
They send runners out, don't they?
Yes. They send, well, we kind of refer to it as a vine when we're talking about a vine versus a runner, but yes, it does. A lot. You mean underground?
Yes.
Oh, you know what? I cannot tell you that. Scientifically, I do not know the answer. From experience, what I can tell you is I don't see the runner. I see the seeds that drop along the area. So I don't see the runner, no. But scientifically, I cannot answer you.
You actually, what's produced maypops, that's the fruit, right?
Yes.
It's edible.
Okay, it's not passion fruit.
No,
No, yeah.
But they call them maypops, and yeah, you can. Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
Different kinds.
Look up maypops and see what we can do with them. Here's the flower. There's the caterpillar. These are I gotta go faster, I'm sorry. The spider lily, not native, but well adapted, non-invasive. They'll be at the plant sale. Native grasses, I mentioned them a little bit. They're really great fillers. All the pollinators love them. Some more. Inland sea oats. If you want a native grass that goes really well in seed, I love inland sea oats. They do like shade, they don't like sun, and they do very well, and they put on the most beautiful seed pods, those brown seed pods, and I clip them in the fall and bring them in the house. They're gorgeous. But it's called an inland sea oat. Sea oats. No, ooh. Texas lantana, boy, awesome. Have you some lantana? If you don't got some, please get some. Make sure you pay attention to the name, the scientific name, the Latin name. They will sell you Texas lantana all day long that never started in Texas soil. The red columbine, I talked about that, beautiful, love it. Scarlet sage, fabulous. Sages, salvias, easy thing in the world to grow. The pollinators love it. If you don't have some, get you some. Now here's my challenge to you folks of big areas. These are the 3 combos I want to put together, and I don't have the space for it. The goldenrod, which is awesome. It's beautiful in the fall. The scarlet sage, and then the gay feather. These are big uprights. These are things that do better with a little space, but the colors together would be fabulous. I ain't got the space no more. Okay, resources. You have it on your outline, so take that with you. Find this resource that you like. Use it often. That's my list. It's Green Joy.
Nectar bar? Is that a tavern?
Huh?
Nectar bar, is that a tavern?
No. Nope.
Come with this one? Or, no.
Pollinator moves pollen from one plant to the next. Why is that important? What do we know about pollination? Why is pollination important?
That's what gives us more fruit.
Okay?
That's what gives us more fruit.
It gives us more plants.
Fertilization. Fertilization.
Fertilization. Yes.
It's able to
So you
reproduce.
move on from one plant to the next plant, and what do you get at the end of the day? Honey is one thing you get. Seeds. Seeds. What are seeds?
Our
Life, food, our future. Exactly. Pollination is essential to our life. It is essential to the life of the pollinators. Some plants depend upon wind or water or other animals. Most plants depend on insects. Examples: bats, bees, hummers, butterflies, moth, wasps, flies, and beetles. They are all pollinators. So which one should we kill? None. Good answer. Bees. Bees are considered king pollinators. Woo, woo, big guys. They are the big guns. They are the ones that do the majority of the pollination. Okay, the smallest, the largest pollinator is a black and white ruffed lemur in Madagascar. Because of what he pollinates, they're able to maintain the forest. You heard that lemurs are endangered? They endangered, the forest gets endangered. Not a good place to be. The smallest pollinator, Perdita minima, I could do that one. They're under 2 millimeters. Little bitty itty things. They are solitary bees. They pollinate the white margin sand mat, which prevents erosion and keeps the sand from mixing with the soil. They have a very important purpose. What happens if we lose pollinators? If the bee disappeared from the surface, according to Albert Einstein, and I'm not going to argue with that dude, humanity would only survive 4 years. $14 billion worth of seed crops in the U.S. are pollinated by bees. This is serious. It would be a loss of food. Coffee, goodness, I can't do without coffee. Bees and flies. Alfalfa, leafcutter, and honeybees. Think beef, that's what they eat. Avocado, love avocado. This is essential to our culture. We eat the suckers. It is important. Pollinator populations are declining. This is serious. This is important. This is true. Loss of habitat, urbanization. We're building buildings, we're building houses, and we're not replacing it in some other area with the plants that are needed in those areas that we destroyed. Introduction of what? Say it after you do it. Invasive species. No, can't do this. Pesticides. You can use and sometimes need to use pesticides in a smart way. But if you don't know what you're doing, please don't use them. Disease. Because we're using pesticides, we're taking out some of their natural defense with some of the stuff that we're doing. Remember what a native was? No human interaction. So who messed it up? Yeah, us. Drought. Now, what about them bees? They are the most important pollinator. During COVID, a lot of folks, during the time of COVID, when we were growing our own stuff, making our sourdough bread and doing those things that we could do close to home, we had a huge rising of honeybees, honeybee hives. What we didn't have is some appropriate education on a honeybee hive. Because if you have a honeybee hive and you don't give it what it needs, nectar, you don't give it something to pollinate, it's going to take away the resources to the native bees. And that's what's happening. Right now, we have more honeybees than we have ever had. London, okay, single hive collects enough honeybees to support 100,000 native solitary bees. London Beekeepers Association recommends 5 acres of habitat for each hive. In the state of Texas, that means you gotta have some salvia, some lantanas, you gotta have some lavender, you gotta have some stuff that they can pollinate, they can go get nectar from. Okay, native bees evolved.
It's clover, it's maize, or sorghum, because what you don't want necessarily is all that sweet stuff in your honey. You want the substance from the wildflowers and the wild. Usually it's people like me who have pasture garden, or pastures, who have the bees. A lot of, and also the fruit trees. We have a lot of bees for that. Go ahead.
Let's talk about native bees. Native bees evolved with our planet, with our plants. They came about, they became strong, they became somewhat invincible based on our plants. There are at least 1,100 different types of bees, and they have a fabulous buzz pollination, which they grab the plant, they shake it, and the pollen comes off. That's not something our honeybees do. I am not knocking honeybees. I'm saying if you're going to start, if you haven't already, and you're not educated on how to do a honeybee hive, get educated first. I have a lot of friends in Bernie who during COVID, they thought it was the best thing in the world to go start a hive, because I'm going to help the world by starting a hive. Yeah, that's not what they did, because they didn't plant a darn thing. And so those bees do take over the area. They're going to pollinate. They are strong, and virtually all of them are Africanized these days. They're going to get what they need. And the native bees, who are solitary bees, who don't have a colony, they don't have a queen, then they may not make it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, native bees are solitary. The majority of native bees are solitary. They live in the dirt, they live in logs, they're all by themselves. So they do this all by themselves. Yeah.
So I heard they were called the Daniel Boone of bees.
That sounds very appropriate, very Texas.
I've heard that before.
That makes sense.
Because they have a raccoon.
One thing where it says that now there's more honeybees than ever in human history, I thought they were on the decline and in a dangerous way.
I think it depends upon what resource that you look at. As to, let's say that the need, when did honey become all the thing? It hasn't always been all the thing. We learned that honey is good for some ailments, and we learned that honey is a good sweetener, it's a natural sweetener, and more folks got involved in starting honeybee hives that didn't have the education. So I think if you separate, now you've been doing it for a while? Okay, if you separate the experienced hive people from those who started it because it sounded like fun, that you may see a difference in the type of honeybees that we're talking about and what they're producing. I think it's absolutely correct. If you have just the sweet honey, I don't know what they're doing with those.
Oh, I thought there was something killing bees.
Yes. There is.
This past year when they sprayed for mosquitoes, people's hives were dying everywhere all over San Antonio. And they sent us letters.
So we're
from
in
the
danger of
Bee
going
Association
belly up in
to
4
wrap
years if we lose them.
Okay, but let's expand it. It is all bees, not just honeybees. Honeybees get the attention because people don't know about the other bees. So I want to tell you about the other bees.
So the honeybee, I will have this question before we move on to the bees.
Sure.
I get local honey for the allergen part of it, so that we can adjust
I do
to
too.
the region. If honeybees are only utilizing or have certain things to grow, like pollinate, is that not going to be effective for the people in the area who are eating the honey for that reason?
I am not an expert, but I can tell you from a scientific perspective, if you're, anybody who's trying to make money off of honey is going to have plants around that the bees are going to be able to get nectar from, right? They're not going to plant anything that, no?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
But you're never gonna make money with honey.
Okay.
This is the sidebar.
Is that a joke?
Then you don't want to take all the honey because the the bees need it through the winter, when, in the fall here, when everything's
Right.
dead and all flowers.
Let me, yeah, whether or not it will help you with allergies, because you're going to be exposed to what's in your environment, that's a crapshoot. I say do it. Do it. I do it. Once my grandbabies were old enough, I give them honey. I can't tell you scientifically if it definitely works, and I'd have to ask an allergist. I can tell you that there's enough good information for me that I'm going to do it. But let's go back. All bees are endangered, not just the honeybees. So when you all know globally that bees are endangered, but your first thought is to go to the honeybee.
Right.
And so you start a hive, and you actually worsen the problem, because now you grew the hive, but you didn't plant the things that they needed for nectar, to make nectar, and now they're taking from the native bees. That's the take home.
So we're having a bee war.
I wish we were having a bee war, we're not. You know what, I don't wish that. I don't wish that. What we're having is people once again not realizing what they're doing to the resources. That's what we have. We can accommodate all of these if we're just smart. And say, if I had bees need pollen, where are they going to get it? Then plant it. Whatever the experts say to plant, plant it. I think you're more of an expert than I am. I've never had a hive. Bees, as a general, are endangered. And that's what we have to remember. That's what we have to take home. Okay, social, our honeybees, the Africanized bees, those bees, I did some reading that virtually all bees at this point are Africanized. You can't control them in one area. But you need to know the difference between a social bee and a solitary bee. If you have a bee hive in your area, or you see a lot of bees in a wood pile, which you should never have, but if you see a lot of bees in a wood pile, and they're buzzing and they're coming and they're going, that's a colony. Don't touch it. Call somebody else to touch it if you don't know what you're doing. However, the bees that you'll see in my front yard are individual bees. They're made holes in the wood that I have out there for them and in the dirt. They're not coming and going. They are not associating. They're not going to one place. That's a solitary bee. That's not a colony. So if I need to move aside the bees so my granddaughter can get through the front door, I'm not worried about them attacking me. You cannot predict exactly whether or not a colony is going to go after you. You can't really predict it. They're going to defend their area. I can tell you scientifically they're more aggressive and as the sun goes down. I can tell you that if you're close to their hive and you're fixing to mess with it, they're going to be aggressive. But that's all I can tell you. I can't tell you if you get it and look at it, you're going to know that that's an Africanized bee that's going to sting you. No,
I can tell you if you run over their thing with the shredder.
Really good point. So, if you see coming and going, lots of different bees coming and going, don't touch it. Just don't. Solitary bees, please leave them alone. Okay, solitary bees are females. Boy does his thing and he dies shortly afterwards. So sorry.
Sure.
No, truly. I need men to dig holes and carry things.
Once they're done, they're done.
I'm sorry. My husband heard that. Okay, so what was I going to say? What was I going to say here? Okay, individual females. All right, so they collect the nectar. They make a little bit of honey. They keep it. They lay their eggs. They put that stuff in there, and they leave. And those little bees, those little eggs are going to crack, emerge, whatever, eat that honey stuff, and then go on their next way the next year. That's what the majority of the bees that are in your yard do.
Well,
Dead wood nesters. It's good if you've got some, I don't mean a pile of wood where snakes and everything else can get into. I'm talking about you lost a couple of branches, take them up, cut them up, and put them in your yard. They can nest in there. They will nest in there. Now somebody showed me a picture of a real fancy bee house and asked if that would work. And the only way it will work is if you put a sign up there that says vacancies. Now, if you want to buy one of those bee houses, do it. Understand it's been made by human hands. The bees know that. So leave it up for a year. Don't take it down if you want it. It's the same way, if they were here, they would understand me making fun of them. Somebody, Kathy, I want owls in my backyard. I said, oh, okay. Well, what do? I put up this house. You put up a house? Yeah, and I have cameras on it. Oh, did you put the sign up? What? She didn't put the sign up, so they didn't get any owls. With bees, like owls, or owls like bees, you must attract them to your area. Owls like mice. Yeah, they like mice, and they like water, and they like a secure place. And they don't want to be on your fence. They want to be really high up. So, Lord, what do bees like? Bees like a lot of variety of flowers. And they like to have a little bit of water too. But you don't want to leave a bunch of water because then you have mosquitoes. So you leave little bits of water. I saw this one thing I'm going to do. It's a branch, and you put the caps of water on it, and you put it, and that's where you put the water in. For the bee. I'm going to try it just because it looks fun. See what they do. But you have to attract the bees to your yard. The pollinator bees that you have in the majority of your plants are little bitty things. When they sting you, you're barely going to know it. I know this because I've grabbed so many of them. And that's the only time they sting me. I can get in there, I can prune, as long as I'm not physically bothering them, they can care less what I do. But if I grab them without gloves, which you're never supposed to do, you get stung. And you say, well, stupid me. Okay, honeybees versus native bees. Look, honeybees are so efficient. They grab that pollen and they put them in little pancakes and they put them on their legs or their tail and they carry it to their hive. So awesome. Native bees, not so much. Native bees just go in there, they get it all over themselves and they go to the next flower. They roll in it. Who do you think is the better pollinator? Texas native, exactly right. They are the better pollinators. Haphazardly, but who cares?
That bee got spurs on and it looks like he's riding a bronc.
Absolutely.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Okay, these are my flowers. These are my bees. The bees love the sunflowers. Unfortunately, the birds dropped them and they took over. So every spring I'm out there pulling them out, but only leaving them in one place. My husband loves them, bless his heart.
You said the bird planted those?
Yeah, I didn't. Because sunflowers go crazy. If they're in a good place, they really become invasive.
Yeah. Wow.
And they're the first ones to come up.
Yeah.
So if I didn't leave them, my milkweed would be competing with them, and I'm not going to have that.
Yeah.
So they have a place, and that's where they have to stay. And I put the sign up.
You said you live in Cibolo?
Yes.
On 78, there's a big old sunflower field.
Yes. And I'm sure that's where the bird poop came from. Yeah, that's right. Now the one on the other one on the right, that's the pink skullcap. Again, that's an adaptive, not a native. But I haven't found something that works quite as well as that one. Okay, the prairie phlox, butterflies as pollinators. Do y'all think of butterflies as pollinators?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't get to tell you then. They actually are, but they're pretty specific to certain plants. They're not the global pollinators like a bee is. But specifically, the swallowtail for the phlox, the prairie phlox, which I have in my backyard, which is just beautiful. It's awesome. The sulfur and the skippers and the swallowtail, they will pollinate that. So it's good to know. And then the gray, for the bluebonnets, the painted ladies, the orange sulfur, and the gray streaks specifically pollinate the bluebonnets. So that's good information to know.
What pollinates the bluebonnets, hair streaks, and what else?
The gray hair streak, the painted lady, and the orange sulfur. And you'll see them, because the bluebonnets, like this year in my yard, the bluebonnets came up really early. They're already full bloom. And I'm used to them being a little more in the middle of April when the butterflies are actually out more. So I'm hoping they get there enough time, but you'll see them on the bluebonnets before you'll see the monarchs because they haven't migrated yet.
Kathy, before you get too far away
Uh-huh.
from the bees, if I wanted to support the natural bees, the only thing I've been able to think of is plant the flowers or the weeds that they like to eat and have that available throughout the year. Is there and water. Is there something else I could do besides that to support them?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I cannot think. Oh, you can do fruit. You can do rotting fruit. Go ahead. Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
You have to wait to clean up your spring cleanup, and because bees will be in the stems, so you have to wait until because they're hibernating in the stems of your dead
That's right.
and stuff.
That's right.
So if you go out there and you're like, you just squished them all, you killed them in your sleep.
That's exactly. Remember when I told you that I wait and do my spring pruning? I do my winter pruning and until January, February, or March, usually until March. That's why, because everything's living in there. But yes, that's another thing you can do. But what you listed was fabulous. That was awesome.
That's what I've been doing.
Awesome.
But I couldn't figure anything else out.
Do you see bees?
No, tons, and lots of different kinds.
Then you hit the magic formula. You're there.
Yeah,
They ain't gonna come if they don't like it. It's the same way, when we talk about an organic yard, I'm just gonna throw this in there, it's not part of pollination, because dragonflies don't pollinate, they eat other insects. But dragonflies are a really good indication of a very healthy ecosystem. So if you have got dragonflies and you don't have this huge enormous thing of water that's actually the draw, but it's more your yard, you've got a pretty good ecosystem going on. And that's a good indicator because they don't go where it's not healthy. And they don't go where things are getting killed. It's the same way with the little lizards, geckos, whatever they are. Geckos. It's the same with him.
One thing for dragonflies to help attract them is just run a wire across. They like to perch.
They do.
Just like on a hawk. And they'll sit up there just like a hawk on this little wire, 8, 10 feet up or whatever. Across the backside of your fence, and they'll just keep an eye out.
That's actually really good, yeah. It's a
perch.
Yeah, they really do like to perch. And if I my husband sometimes like to get a little bit aggressive, and when the branch dies, to cut it off, leave it up there, because they do perch on that as well. I have little grandbabies, so I can't do the wire thing.
What are dragonflies drawn to the most?
Water and health.
And health.
Yeah, they eat mosquitoes. Now, I don't know a yard in San Antonio in the absence of pesticides that has mosquitoes. I've got mosquitoes. I use lemongrass. I use lemon balm. I keep every little, I keep them all happy. And I don't have a problem. But they like mosquitoes. The reason that they're a good indication of a good ecosystem, I go between eco and eco system. The reason is because they have to eat those insects. That is their food. So if you've got insects, it's mean that you've got a good ecosystem. So if you're doing organic and you've got good bugs and you've got the mosquitoes, you've got the beetles, you've got the other flying little things that they like, the flies, then you're there in your yard, the dragonflies will come.
We have wetland in the back of our HOA area, and there's tons of mosquitoes, so I've seen some dragonflies.
Okay.
It's not ideal, I mean, it's gross.
Then you may want to look at how to get them to your yard.
Okay.
And get the insects, plant the natives. Huh? Do the wire. What?
Needs a sign.
Get the sign.
Put a wire up.
Get the sign. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, that's how you do it. How can we help? Y'all have already said it. You're fabulous. Plant native. Avoid invasive species. The only thing they will do is take resources away from your natives. Don't kill the bees. There is a pesticide, neonicon, yeah, that one. Read your labels if you're going to use one. Look for alternatives. Look for natural alternatives. Try to avoid it. Aphids. Are y'all familiar with aphids? Okay. Aphids love milkweed, right? It's the bane of a milkweed's existence. Particularly right now, their aphids are everywhere. I go out there, if it's overcoming my newly blooming milkweeds, I just take a Kleenex or an alcohol swab and take them right off. Get your fingers, the kids love it because it gets their fingers yellow. But somebody always asks me, well, should I buy ladybugs? Because ladybugs are the natural predator to an aphid. And I say, absolutely you should, but put the sign up first. Last year I had a horrible infestation of aphids on my milkweed. And a neighbor of mine who had propagated a lot of milkweed called and said, what do I do? What do I do? I said, well, where do you have it? Well, he had it all by itself. I said, well, that's just a feast. He said, should I buy the ladybugs? I said, well, actually, you've got so many that maybe work okay for you. But one day I went out, I was stripping it off because I want my milkweed to get as full as possible for the first migration. So I went out there one day and it was full of ladybugs. So I said, okay, which one of y'all bought the ladybugs? Because they left wherever they were, whoever bought them, and went to my yard, which I was grateful for. But to attract the ladybugs, you've got to give them a natural environment. All the bugs, they're sensitive to the chemicals. They're not going to go there. But for the pesticides, if you use the wasps, I got to talk about the wasps a second. My husband and I made a decision. We're going to leave wasp nests where? Up on the first, not awning, but first level. We're going to leave the wasps there. Anything below that we're going to destroy. But they take care of the spider things, webs in my mountain laurel. If I destroy all the wasps, those things are going to eat my mountain laurel. Wasps are pollinators. They do eat other insects, but make a decision where it's safe for you to allow those nests to occur. They don't want to fool with you. They really don't.
They're great home builders.
They're great. They really are.
Yeah.
They're not as good as the barn swallows.
Oh my goodness. Do you know that it's illegal to knock down a barn swallow's nest?
Where?
And it should be.
In the state of Texas, it's illegal.
It should be.
Okay, but can I tell you what you need to do? But you know what you have to do to get, and that and the reds. I have certain things on my porch that the reds want to nest in every year. I don't mind that, but I have 2 big dogs, and I hate to see them eat those darn birds. So what I do is I take those things down in the spring. They're gone. They're off of my porch. But when the barn swallows do it, I turn on my ceiling fan, and then I go out there every single day, and if they've started it, I knock it down, because then you can knock it down. Once it's established, that's the law.
We have a routine family.
You can also put those twirly things, because they don't like that. That doesn't work very much for me. They got used to it.
My ceiling fan, I have ceiling fans on my porch, but they think it's a game.
They do. So you got to be creative.
Let's party at Judy's house.
They have seen the sign.
Okay, real quick, because I'm already, plant in groups. I told you that before. One purple flower ain't gonna cut it. You need to plant a few. Let it, and when you're making your planting for your garden, plan that. Make sure you're gonna have 3 or 4 plants of that color if pollinators are what you want. Nature is messy. Golly gee, if you want a manicured yard, bless you. You're gonna be working a lot more. Nature is messy. It doesn't like precision. It likes a young, spread. But if you want a precision yard, be careful what you plant. Think about color. They love color. Do color in mass. Choose a variety, all season blooming, shrubby boneset. A border of dense shrub. I have my pink skullcap in front. I have the blue mist that's very tight. The butterflies, all the different pollinators, they go in there when there's going to be a storm or something that could harm them. So give them some place to go. Example of nectar plants, I'm going to try to go fast. You've got this list so you can read it, okay? This is the shrubby boneset. I cannot tell you enough, this plant is fabulous for the fall pollinators. The monarch, swallowtail on my dill. I love the swallowtails, they're so gorgeous. But they will completely destroy your plant. Well, they'll decimate it. They won't destroy it because they'll come back. The leaves will come back most of the time. But yes, they are. They're big eaters. The gopher tillery, and then the monarch. Pay attention, your monarchs have 2 sets of antennae, your queens have 3. So when you say, look, I got monarchs, and somebody's going to say, yeah, but is it a monarch or a queen? Look and see if it has 2 sets or 3 sets of antennae.
So what's the difference?
Sorry, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? The monarchs have 2 sets, the queens have 3 sets. And you can tell that clearly on the caterpillars. When I'm trying to determine if it's a monarch or a queen when they're flying in their butterfly form, I'm going, wait, stay, right there. I give up on that. I have queens and monarchs.
Oh, wow.
The black lines, here's what you're supposed to do. The black lines are the monarchs. It looks like stained glass. But when you've got 20 million monarchs and queens kind of interspersing, I don't worry about it. I look at the caterpillars to make sure that they're getting to the milkweed, that I've done something right. Resources, these are resources that I use. Pick one that you like for native plants.